Welcome to the Irish Pagan School podcast. Your hosts are authors and co-founders of the Irish Pagan School here in County Waterford, Ireland, Laura O'Brien and Jon O'Sullivan. Fáilte.
Do cats have their own royalty? Well, dag the Eve agus Fáilte. Hi, hello, and welcome. Jon O'Sullivan from the Irish Pagan School. And neat answer, not hard to say. In the Irish tradition, mythology, and folklore of creatures, yes, there is such a being known as the King of Cats. Now, are we talking about just all normal cats, or are we talking about the very unique, specific cat she, as in cats of the Otherworld, the Otherworld cats? Hard to say for sure, but we do have a lot of folklore stories that talk about the King of Cats. And a lot of the stories aren't adversarials, but some of them actually are. So there's a couple that I have gone through and I've pulled out, which I find very interesting because it's not just a case that there is this separate entity as the King of Cats. The cats interact with their king, with the one they see as their leader. And we have a couple of different stories that point to that. So one I pulled out quite interesting, and it recurs in multiple different themes, is that there is either a person who somehow gets himself into trouble, gets himself into bother, or it is that young hero looking for a way to save a princess or to support a princess. So in one version of it, it is this king whose daughter, the princess, is sickly and ill, and is like, whoever can find the cure for this, I will marry and make my heir to the kingdom. And in that version, there is this young boy who is in love with the daughter, the princess, and they're doing everything they can to find out, and they overhear a conversation between cats and their king. In another version of the story, there is an individual. Sometimes they're reputable and they're an educator or a teacher who falls on hard times, or other times they're just a gambler and a rogue. And they end up betting far too many things. They bet their school books, or they bet their glasses, or their teaching equipment. But at the end of it, in one version, the individual bets, well, actually, in both versions I found, the individual bets their eyesight, and assuming that no one's going to actually take their eyesight. And in one version, the evil men do take the individual's eyesight, and they're struck blind. In another version, it said that it's not actually men; it's a devil. It is the devil, and it literally takes the person's eyes. In that, the individual is then struck blind, and they're out roaming, trying to find their way home, and they take shelter. And in the night, they overhear a conversation. And in both of those narratives, the conversation goes rather similarly. All of the cats come and they gather. Sometimes it's by a well, sometimes it's in a specific location where cats gather. And the king of the cats calls to all of the cats and asks them, "What news?" And then turn by turn, each cat tells the news that they have observed, that they are aware of. And then the king, should there be any need for a judgment, provides a ruling on it. In the stories, either with the young man trying to save the sickly prince, one of the princess, one of the cats reports about the sickly princess, or in this other version, one of the cats reports of having seen a man struck blind roaming around nearby. In the princess version, the king of the cats says, "Oh, well, there is a cure for that. You know, what ails her, there's a bottle buried beneath a particular tree. And should the person be smart enough or wise enough to find the bottle, then that will cure the princess." And then in the other version, the king of cats surrounding this well is like, should this well that we all meet at is blessed and holy, and should this blind man were to find the well and drink from it or wash their eyes for depending, then they would be healed and have their sight restored. So what's interesting about the king of cats in those narratives is they are a connected ruler. They're not some distant individual when it comes to cats in their world, but also they are informed, they are knowledgeable, and they are capable. The other stories talk about something being a little bit more adversarial. And when I went into duchas.ie for the National Folklore Collection, I found 96 reference to kings and cats in stories. Not all of them point to the king of the cats, but I did find more than just one or two, which sometimes when you're niching down and searching in those archives, you may find one story or two stories that kind of talk about, say, the Banshee or the Doverhu or anything like that at all. But the King of Cats story, there was multiple versions of this recorded by multiple school children from their local areas and the elderly people in their communities. There's one particular one that I pulled out and I found very interesting, and there was again multiple versions of it. And I will read you the extract from the start of it. And it goes, years and years ago, there was situated in Durnan's Field a castle in which a gentleman dwelt. His name was Callan. A short distance away there was a well near which the cats used to hold their meetings. One night when this gentleman was coming home late, the king cat stopped him. Callan drew his sword and made a blow at him. The fight lasted for several hours, and at the end Callan slew him. When the cat was dying, he said to Callan, "Tell your wife when you go home that you killed the king of cats this night." When Callan went home, his wife asked him what had kept him out so late, and he told her he had an awful fight with the king of the cats. Now Callan had 3 cats, and he called them Cron Challie, Gliddy na Lorach, and Ashley Pet. As the story carries on, Cloncallie is the first. It rises up with the news that this man has slain the king of cats. It arches it back, it bares its claws, it snarls, and it flings itself at Callan, who draws his sword, battles, and slays Cloncallie. Then, with the death of Cloncallie, on top of the death of the king of cats, Gliddy na Lorach steps up and attacks, feral, swiping, scrabbling at Callan, trying to avenge not just the king, but also their friend, Cloncallie. Again, Callan pulls his sword and kills the second cat. Oddly, Ashy Pet, is said to be sat by the fire the entire time, the dimmed down fire, aware and watching and quiet. That night, Callan prepares himself and settles, forgetting completely about Ashy Pet, settles down and gets into his bedclothes and goes to bed. And that's when Ashy Pet comes. And it says that Ashy Pet creeps and claws and carefully sneaks until it wraps itself, claws around and bite around the person's neck and begins to strangle and choke them. The guy wakes up unable to breathe in the middle of the night, and the woman jumps up. All of the while, Ashley Pet is not letting go. The woman grabs tries to tug and tries to pull Ashley Pet off her husband's throat, but all the while the cat is not letting go, like a dog, like a bulldog, locked in, squeezing and squeezing, until eventually the woman grabs a blade and tries to cut the paws off Ashy Pet. But still, despite all of the wounds and harm done, she will not let go until Callan finally succumbs and loses his last breath. So there are many references to King of Cats in Irish folklore. It's not described, and you will find references to cat she being either all black cats or black cats with a white mark. And some people point at these otherworldly cats as, harbingers or dangerous people, or some actually say that they are witches who have taken the form of cats, or taken the form of cats too many times, and on the 9th time they change their shape to a cat, they remain a cat for the rest of their lives. Other talk about Samhain and these these otherworldly cats, who will offer favour and blessing on any household that leaves out a saucer of milk on the eve of Samhain. And there are many different stories about the cat she, but back to our main question, do cats have a king? It seems yes, they do. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go ask my 2 cats here if they are happy and secure in their household and whether or not they know the king of cats. If you've enjoyed this, thank you for being with us at the Irish Pagan School. Do the like and subscribe thing if you'd like to know more of this. If you'd like some free teaching, all you got to do is pop over to irishpagan.school/free. Until next time, look after yourself. Take care. Agus slán. Goodbye.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave us a positive review in your podcast listener. Then head over to irishpaganschool.com and enroll in one of our free or paid courses. Slán go fóill and we will see you next time.